Hey everybody, thanks for watching Woodcrest Bonsai. Today I'm going to do the very first trimming on my bald cypress dome grove planting bonsai. So the history of this planting is that I filled the pot with soil and I planted the bald cypress seed directly into the soil. And the first batch I got very poor germination. And what was really weird was that the ones that did germinate, they all germinated within about 2 inches of the perimeter of the pot. There was nothing in the middle. And so I planted even more seed. And then I got much better germination. And that's pretty much what you see here. Had I had to do it over again, I probably would have taken the original guys. There was only about 5 or 6 that germinated all around the perimeter, because now they're the oldest and they're also the largest, and typically in a grove you want the smallest trees close to the perimeter. So a perfect example is this guy right here. He's quite thick, but no big deal. And then the squirrels decided to dig when the trees were very young, and so that's this hole right here. That's squirrels. And then they had also made a hole over here. But what I did was I took my main tree, which you see right here, which is the thickest of them all, although this baby is getting close, which was really close to the perimeter, way over here. And I took, I think, this group right here, dug them out of that section, took this guy, pulled it away from the perimeter, planted it as the first main tree, and then planted the guys that came out of there into the hole that the squirrels had dug. So there really isn't any hole over here. This space here can actually add to some naturalness of the grove, because you certainly don't want all your trees to look like little soldiers. And they all grew very tall, almost 3 feet. And now it's time to trim them back. And I'm going to trim them pretty deep, because I want my final product to be probably 2 feet high. See, I can't even, I guess I need to go like this. All right, so I want my final product to be about this high. And that's the main tree. And then from there, they're all going to come down, and they're all going to come down, and they're going to come down from the front and come down into the back. But that's after they've all matured. So they're going to be cut back, and then they're going to grow, and then they're going to be cut back again, and they're going to grow, and they're going to be cut back again, and they're going to grow. And as they mature, the cut back will be less, and the amount of styling that they'll get will be more to create the triangles on the trees. But this initial cutback needs to be deep enough so that when they grow back, it's not like all of a sudden they're back to where I want them and I have to chop them way back again. So I'm going to give them a pretty good haircut. So I'm going to start with these guys. This is an interesting one, making a right turn. I may actually keep him and then just go like that, and because sometimes they grow like that. So we're going to go in here, and we're going pretty deep. And then slowly but surely, they're going to get a little taller, and a little taller, and a little taller. Even Mr. Thick Guy is going to get cut. I can see a bud coming right at us, but I don't really want that branch coming right at us, so I'm going to cut it to there. And I have some very thin ones, which also will add to the naturalness of the design. You know, I always have to remember this, because I'm as prone to doing it as anybody else. Is I don't cut deep enough, and then I've just got that much more growth I have to chop away because I didn't cut deep enough. And from how I'm looking at it right here, I don't see a single tree that has died. And there may be some real tiny little ones like that guy that have died. But I would say by far the vast majority of them have germinated beautifully. So I'm going to keep this up, continuing to cut them a little taller as I get towards the main tree. And as I get towards the perimeter, they get shorter and shorter. You can see how much I'm cutting off. But that's okay. You can see there's little tiny buds in here, buds all up and down here. So now that the top has been chopped, all those buds will pop. And then we're at the main tree. So the main tree is going to get about right like that. Okay. Then come to this side. Since the main tree is on this third, these guys here are going to angle up a little more rapidly, and I cut these probably too low, but the next time I cut them I can account for that. Alright, there we go. I think we are done. And as you can see, they're all just growing beautifully. They're sprouted like crazy. And some of them are kind of leaning, and this group over here has this kind of weird sweet to it, but you know what? I'm not all that concerned with that. I'm really not. So there we go. The first cutback of my bald cypress growth. And I definitely cut some of these guys a little too short. But like I said, the angle here is going to be a little steeper getting to the main tree versus here it's going to be a little less. Although now that I'm looking at it, I'm thinking I could go a little further down. Because remember, as far as you go down, that's as far as they're ever going to be. So I'm going to give them another. And the trees don't care. They're going to sprout from wherever I cut. So I'm going to cut them a little further down. And if there's a couple that are not, so it's not perfect, some are a little higher and some are a little lower. That also adds to the naturalness of the design. Chop Mr. Big down again some more. I got to. I want to make sure he doesn't sprout coming right at us though. How about to right there? Alright, now I'm a little happier with it. So there you go, that was a pretty heavy duty chop. I don't think I'm done either. In theory, I could chop these guys all down to just a couple of inches and start over. And that might actually make a very interesting ensemble once everything has grown back. But typically in a grove like this, where there's so many of them, you're going to have a lot of very thin trees because they're all competing with each other, even in nature. So the typical bonsai grove has, usually you don't want 4. That is just a huge no-no. In Japan, 4 is taboo. Even just the number 4, because the number 4 also translates into death. And so you never have 4 of anything in Japan. There's no 4th floor. It's like Friday the 13th here. And 4 trees in a grove also is very difficult to style because it just looks dumb. So you have 5 or 7 or 9 or 11. And then once you get to about 11, the number of trees, whether they're odd or even, becomes kind of inconsequential. Here, I've never counted them, but I can do a quickie. So there's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. There's probably 70 trees in here. Now, 10 years from now, will there still be 70 trees left? Probably not. However, I'm going to keep them all, and we're just going to see what happens. So there you go. Chopped them back. And it's interesting because the main tree was one of the few that actually got root pruned. It emerged with much more vigorous growth than the others that were kind of like, no big deal. But he's like, I gotta survive, so I gotta push some growth. And I have a few weeds. Welcome to my backyard. That's not that bad. So I'm going to try to keep them under wraps. And this entire group is just in landscape soil, just a fully organic soil. And bald cypress is pretty forgiving when it comes to soil, except for being dry. So that's why I've got them in this landscape mix, because it stays much, much wetter. And it won't last that long. And I probably plan to root prune this guy as a unit every year. I didn't do that this year, but by next year it'll probably need it. So there you go. My bald cypress dome chopped back, and I'm loving it already, tell you the truth, just as it is. And so over the summer I will be selectively styling each tree as it goes, and we'll just see what happens as far as how close they are or how far apart they are. This big guy in the front, if he gets too weird, we can take him out. I've got other seedling trees that could take his place. So anyway, there you go. So thanks for watching. I'm psyched. I'm loving this. And I have to tell you the story that way back, because I've been doing bonsai 40 years, but I don't have a 40-year-old collection because I got rid of everything. In the early 90s, just life happened and it was time for me to just get out of there. So I did. But this same pot used to have a bald cypress grove in it. There was maybe 5 or 7 trees. They were much bigger, about that big around. And it was my daughter's very favorite bonsai. So I'm kind of reliving that. Of course, now she's almost 40. So anyway, so much for nostalgia. So thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you haven't already, and leave a comment. I think I cut them probably pretty good. And then we'll just have to watch them grow and style the next batch of growth. See how that goes, and then get into styling. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.